Hello there. This is Kyle Kaufman, English teacher at Plymouth High School, and I've been asked to deliver a screencast to you about English language arts transition to Common Core standards. I assume that you have some basic information about Common Core standards. Some of you may have in-depth knowledge about Common Core standards. At any rate, I'm going to provide some key points that are going to touch on the highlights of what Common Core is. But first, let's take a look at the overview of this screencast. We're going to take a look at the background information that is essential to understanding Common Core, some key dates, look at some specific highlights of Common Core in depth, and then finally finish with a place for you to find resources as you need them. Background information. First of all, the question, what is the Common Core State Standards Initiative? It's the state-led effort coordinated by the National Governors Association Center for Best Practices and the Council of Chief State School Officers. The standards were developed in collaboration with teachers, schools, administrators, and experts to provide a clear and consistent framework to prepare our children for college and the workforce. How are these standards determined? From the best state standards, the experience of teachers, content experts, states, and leading thinkers, and feedback from the general public. What was considered in their design, and I find this to be particularly useful information: college and career readiness and grade-specific standards, grade levels for K through 8, grade bands for 9, 10, and 11, 12, a focus on results rather than means, an integrated model of literacy, research and media skills blended into standards as a whole, shared responsibility for students' literacy development, and focus and coherence in instruction and assessment. Speaking of assessment, PARCC. What is PARCC? PARCC is the Partnership for Assessment of Readiness for College and Careers. It is going to be the assessment tool taking place of ISTEP and ECA here soon enough. And with that, let's take a look at some key dates. As you're all aware, PCSC language arts teachers will teach Common Core standards starting this fall. Indiana academic standards will no longer be taught. This is important because we know that RISE is also coming this fall, will be implemented. Probably a good idea to look at what pie chart you are at for RISE. However, we also must know that ISTEP and ECA will continue through 2013, 2014. PARCC assessments will not be here in fully administered form until 2014, 2015. The next 2 years, PARCC is undergoing pilot tests. Let's take a look at Common Core in depth. And I think the first thing to look at when we look at Common Core is to understand that there are anchor standards from kindergarten to 12th grade. The first anchor standard is reading, and in particular, the indicators are key ideas and details, craft and structure, integration of knowledge and ideas, range of reading and level of text complexity. In writing, text types and purposes, specifically argument, informative, explanatory, narrative, production and distribution of writing, research to build and present knowledge, and range of writing. Speaking and listening, comprehension and collaboration, presentation of knowledge and ideas, and lastly, language, conventions of standard English, knowledge of language, vocabulary acquisition and use. Those standards I just went through and those key indicators are the same in kindergarten all the way to 12th grade. But let's take a look at the broad standards. And really, they're pretty much the same, save for one. In K through 5, you can see that reading is broken up into literature, informational text, and foundational skills. And then when we look at 6 through 12, foundational skills have been omitted, focusing on literature and informational text for obvious reasons. Although sometimes we have thought that maybe some students should go back to those foundational skills. Nonetheless, moving forward, 4 major shifts in literacy. And when we think about Common Core, we need to understand these. The first major shift is we're emphasizing informational text. And that is not necessarily just for English language arts, although it is something that we need to consider and know. Major shift 2, literacy standards for all content areas. Number 3, text complexity. Number 4, the special place of argument. Let's go ahead and take a look at the distribution of communicated purposes by grade in the 2011 NAEP, National Assessment of Educational Progress, Writing Framework. And this is what Common Core is going to ask that we look towards and model in our curriculum. So you can see in grade 8, 35% of the writing should be persuasion, 35% explanation, and 30% to convey experience. As students get older, you can see that we're moving away from conveying experience and we're pushing more of the persuasion and explanatory writing. Looking at literary and informational passages, you can see that in 4th grade, we have an even split of literature and informational text. In 8th grade, it moves more towards what appears to be the information side, but I'm assuming there's a math issue. Don't quote me on that, though. I'm not sure 55 and 45 equal 100. Yeah. And when we look at seniors, we see that information is now 70% with literature at 30%. Now, we must understand, and this is true for all grade levels, that Common Core has stated a great deal of informational reading in grades 6 through 12 must take place in other classes if this framework is to be matched instructionally. So that does not mean, for instance, taking the senior level as an example, that 30-70 split is what we should be doing in our English classes. That is the entire experience in all classes for that senior year. Other teachers will have literacy standards that they are in charge of. Let's go ahead and take a look now at the 3-part model for measuring text complexity. Qualitative, quantitative, reader, and task. Nice little triangle there, and you can see they're split into 3 equal parts. Qualitative measures are those measures that are only measurable by the attentive human reader. Levels of meaning or purpose, structure, language conventionality and clarity, and knowledge demands. Quantitative measures, word length or frequency, sentence length, and text cohesion. What this is going to mean, I'm sure you're all aware of this already, is the Lexile level. And then we have reader and task considerations. For the reader, the motivation, knowledge, and experiences. And for the task, the appropriateness of the text. Let's go ahead and take a look at the text complexity grade bands and associated Lexile ranges. So you can see the bands that we have on the left column. In the middle, that is the old Lexile range recommendation, and that is no longer going to be what we are shooting for in terms of literacy. On the right, these are the college career readiness expectations. So for 5th grade, we're looking at a 980 Lexile. 6th and 8th grade, the band is 955 to 1155, and we keep moving in that band. And with that, I'll wrap up the screencast. Like I said, some information for you to think about, deal with, and start working on curriculum for the next year. As far as resources go, I have created a casual annotated bibliography, if you will, of hyperlinks for you to access information when you go to the Common Core website, when you go to the Park website, when you go to the DOE website. It can be awfully daunting to find all the information you want. So rather than just give you those 3 websites, I have provided you hyperlinks so you can look at my document and find, where do I really want to go? What do I want to see? And the first document I recommend you looking at is going to the print library on the Indiana DOE website, so you can have the Common Core standards for your grade level. If you have any questions, email me. I'm more than happy to answer any questions you may have. And we will also get together at a later date to talk more about these standards. And with that, honestly and truthfully, you've been a great audience, or I hope. I know you have been. Thank you for your time. Have a great day.